Hello, friends. You need to put your finger up here, Mossy.
I need to clean that.
What?
That's dirty.
No, it's not dirty. Flipped it. Look at that. Clean as a whistle. All right. Welcome. Happy Sunday to you all. It's a beautiful day. We're painting toys. Can't ask for much more than that. Well, you can ask for that. You can ask for your girlfriend to bring you some crumpets, but she doesn't want to. Well, he can't when he's streaming. Just make me some crumpets, woman. I like crumpets. Alright, we're painting this chick, sort of. Let's just tweak the... There we go. Yeah, we're just going to keep bopping away with her. Do some airbrushing soon. But yeah, let's do some coldish rim light situation. Don't say it. We're going to have Ellie Cam set up soon. She's sitting next to us. Alright, that I just want it to be there, so we just need to tweak this down a tiny little smidge. Boop. That should be perfect. So I hope everyone's having a wonderful week. We're going to be diving into a board game project after this. Maybe. We'll see. But I think we might also do a little exercise where we look at the shelf of opportunity and work out what's next. I normally do a historical figure for QMHE. QMHE is actually quite close. It's on the 14th and 15th of August this year. Feels earlier than previous years. And that means that we've got to paint a historical piece. And I think I've got a few on my shelf for that purpose. Including a cool Centurion. What else have I got? Not sure. Yeah. It feels pretty cool actually to have the diorama done. I think I said that last week, but continues to feel cool. I think I'm up to episode 8 of Andor now. Very exciting. Very good show. Speaking of, my friends Benny and Storm have started a new Instagram page called Bound by Force, which is a place for them to talk about their Star Wars excitement. So, I highly recommend, if you like Star Wars, to go follow their page. I like Star Wars. I don't like it as much as they do, but I like it. When I was a young lad, young slip of a lad, I used to go to the local library, and they used to hire out VHS tapes. And I used to hire out basically 7 VHS tapes on repeat, over and over. And those 7 were Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, Star Wars Episode 6, The Return of the Jedi. And the final one that I used to hire out from the library was Willow. And so I basically just go in there and hire out whatever one was there. So I'm definitely a Star Wars boffin. Just not as much as those wonderful people are. So yeah, I go QMHE 1 week, and then the following week Guilds Inn, and then the following week Mossy's got something that we're doing as well. Hello, Time Stop. Yes, we've been for a walk. We went for a walk at 5. I'm sort of not feeling great about this project. It's not light at all, mate. It's still dark. We get home just as the light's starting to peek over the horizon. Yeah, I feel like this project is... Well, it's just different to how I normally paint. for starters. Sometimes that's okay when you're trying new things. I'm yet to use the airbrush on this project, and that's a wild thing for me. But I'm gonna use it next, I think. I think. Yeah, now Mossy's told me I've got to fix her hair. She said the hair doesn't look very good. So we're going to fix her hair, apparently. So I'm trying to decide if I should paint something specifically for Guilds Inn. I'm going to have probably 5 or 6 entries, including the big one. But how many am I going to have? 1, 2, 3. And I'll probably paint 1 or 2 more. Yeah, so I'm probably going to have 5. But I'm trying to decide if I should paint something specifically for it. QMHE's got a much smaller representation of display painters. There'll be probably a couple of people that'll be at both. Mostly me though. So yeah, that sort of doesn't factor into the decision making part of it. It's more a question of, do I want to try and paint something specifically? When I paint stuff for specific competitions, it usually doesn't go well. Normally I just paint for myself and have a really nice time. When I try to do stuff for purely competition, it sometimes doesn't go well. bum, 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 bum. Yeah, I called this stream Display Girls because I've got 3 projects that are work in progress, all display girls, and I thought it'd be really good to just knock a couple of them over. It's a good plan. It's a good plan. There's something happening in one of my other passions, the world of rugby league. Something happening at the moment which is absolutely crazy, and I'm going to talk about it because I love it. And if you don't follow rugby league or you don't even understand what I'm talking about, I'm sorry, but I think it's great to talk about your passions. There's a record that stood basically for over 100 years in the world of rugby league. It's a try scoring record, and it's held by a guy named Ken Irvine, who scored 212 tries in his career. 212 doesn't seem like a lot, but when you think about how many games of rugby league professional plays in a year, it's 25, and you think about the top try scorers for that game and those 25, most of the top try scorers of the last 10 years in a season will score 20 to 25. So you would need to play for 8 full seasons and be at the top of the top try scorers list for 8 seasons to be able to come close to that record. The closest to the last few years has been a guy named Billy Slater, the current Queensland coach, and he got 199, I think, might be 198, and he's the closest, and he was one of the best fullbacks ever. Right now, there's a guy named Alex Johnston who's been playing for South Sydney his entire career, and he is about to descend upon that record. He's at 206 tries. He scored 4 tries last night to go to 206. And it is absolutely crazy to me that a record that stood for 100 years, probably people thought that record was never going to get challenged because of the era that he played in, and just the ridiculousness of his try scoring feats. And yet here we are, this little kid from Redfern, about to break this record that stood for over 100 years, and I find that to be absolutely amazing. I'm not really fussed what people see in terms of the projects that I do. It's just nice to be able to take my diorama to places. This is the angle. So we're driving to Sydney just so we can do that, just so we can take the diorama. I'm your biggest fan, I'll follow you till you love me. Paparazzi. Yeah, there's no way that the diorama will be going via plane, unfortunately. I did last year. I mailed it so that I could fly. And if it was an option, I'd do it. But to mail this project is just going to be hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And given that travelling to the event by car is kind of pretty similar cost to flying, it's a bit of a no-brainer. Alright, we're about to get into the make or break moment on this piece where we're going to do some airbrushing. Oh, it's nerve-wracking. Spend all this time doing all this work, and then you could lose it in a moment, Deno. No, we won't. All will be well. So we'll try to talk through what I'm actually looking to do here with this airbrushing, I guess. Well, that's time stop. You've read my mind, mate. You've read my mind. So look, what we've got here is a piece that is looking, relatively adequate, but there's a lot of roughness to my blends. A lot of texture, And what we're trying to do with the airbrush is soften some of those textural elements out and smooth things out. We're actually going to use some masking stuff for this because it's going to be, hopefully, a fair bit of precision work. Yeah, so let's start with the hair. So what we're looking to do with this airbrush now is convert those blends to be a little bit smoother. So I could do this without using the masking putty. I could. Alexa, airbrush on. But this just allows me to be a little bit less worried about precision, and I can focus more on achieving the perfect dilution. So we're using duck egg green. Don't know why. All right. So if you see, all that's done right now is just smooth the blends, and if we do that a couple of times, then we basically remove the roughness of the blends. So then we'll add some shadows. I don't do that very often at all, mate. Unless you got your airbrush on for a really sustained period in time, I don't find that I get a lot of water in the lines. Alright, now we'll do a little bit of shading. So let's use a contrast paint for that. And let's go with a Dark Angels green. Is that what I want to do? Yeah. Alright, so I'm just using the air to make sure that this is dried. So this one we're going to look to go in the shadows. So every now and then I'll just spray the airbrush off to the side, just because if you don't use full air, the paint can often dry on the tip, and so by just doing a little bit of full pressure air off to the side, you guarantee that the paint's not going to dry on the tip. All right. That's a great question. The best I can do is this. So it's quite dilute. Probably about 50-50 contrast paint to thinner. Maybe even more thinner than contrast paint. But again, it depends on what I'm trying to achieve. In this stage, it's very much about smoothing. So let's see if I did a good enough job with my masking. Pretty good. I use the same PSI. That's an interesting question. But yeah, I use the same PSI because you can control how much air comes out by pushing the needle down a little bit less. Just hair dry that. Very smooth. Alright, now we're going to try the metal, I think. Yeah, I don't change my PSI very much at all. The only time I do is if I have a very precise area and I really want maximum control. But it's not common for me to change my PSI. Alright, so now for this one, the first thing I want to do is soften the highlights. So for that, I might actually use light flesh mixed with a little bit of white. White ink? No, we'll try this first. Couple of paints are ready for replacement demo. Do I use white? I suppose I don't use white. Alright, try and show this one. So this is light flesh. Put about that much in there. And this is white. So let's see. Yeah, it looks alright. Okay, so I want to try and hit just the highlighted areas and just soften a tiny little bit. So this was some real precision work. So Yeah. Yeah, that is absolutely the risk. So the way that you avoid that is by just using way less. You pull the needle back way less than you would normally. It's a control thing. Yeah. Control, experience, spot on. But the thing is, the only way that you ever get that experience right is by doing it and fucking up. that's just the reality. So just got to not be afraid to try this sort of thing. Alrighty. Cool. And now we're going to add some orange shadows. Orange? Yeah, we're going to try and add a little bit of like a burning city reflection type thing. And so we're going to again go to a contrast paint. No, we're going to use a Vallejo airbrush. Orange fire. Naranja fuego! This is one of my go-to colours. I love this colour. So the airbrush colours are designed in a different way. They're formulated in a different way, and so the pigments are a lot finer. Alright, we might add a little bit of a darker colour into that. We might add some red. But we'll use the contrast paint to add into that, and we'll use Blood Angels Red. I don't know if that's dark enough, don't I? Let's see. That should be okay. Oh no. Oh no. He's completely fucked it. He's completely screwed the pooch. Nice. Oh, he saved it. Well done, Dano. A little bit of backflow mixes that bad boy together. And now we've got a much darker orange. So, let's see how that... So the other thing I like to do is just add a little bit of this colour into skin. This is a bit of a warm colour. Just to, we'll normally do a little slightly different colour. We'll use a peanut butter. Alright, now I want to smooth out the clothes. So this process can be as extensive or short as you want. You know, normally I don't go quite as detailed with this, but I've done a lot of painting on this, and I haven't done a lot of smoothing. So, yeah, good time to smooth it out, I think. Right at the end, I'll just hair dry that so we can make sure we don't lift any paint off. And again, I could probably do what I'm doing without using this stuff. I think this stuff is just like a safety net. This is a good thing to do if you're lacking confidence in your airbrushing, is to use this stuff, because it will really protect your work without you having to worry. Doesn't protect you from the shitness of your airbrushing skills though. So if you can't get your paint dilution right, etc., this stuff isn't going to help. Alright, so what do I want to use for this? So this time, I think we want to use a blue. So let's use a signal blue, which is another airbrush color. And we're just going to put this down as a shadow. And this is probably a bit thick, probably a bit too much paint, not enough dilution, but we should be able to get away with it. In the end, only things matter. In the end, only kinds matter. Never broken. We are never broken. Alright, I'm going to go to another colour now, but I'm actually going to leave a little bit of that blue. Oh, thanks, Mossy Moo. Good one. I made her hair green just like you asked. What's impressive? Good one. This is the thing I'll say, friends, for those watching at home. I don't think I am a very good painter. But I am a very good airbrusher. And that makes me look like a good painter. So, there's a lesson in that for all of us. Alright, last area I want to tweak, and I might do a little highlight on that actually. Last thing I want to tweak is the face. And we're we're just going to add some warmth, some warm tones, some colour, some life, and some softening. But we are going to need to just do a little highlight first on that clothes. What colour are we going to do that in, Deno? Well, the teal's the most obvious choice. Oh yes, the teal, the teal. That's true. Alright, let's do the face and then we will call it a day on airbrushing and we'll finish this chick off with a final little few touches with the brush. One of the things that you really have to think about when you're airbrushing like this is the last thing you almost invariably need to do is ensure that you have clean shadows, because the airbrush will soften all of your contrast. So you want to have clean shadows. Alright, so I want to add a greeny sort of colour here, like your Terminator line. So we'll use our Pterodon turquoise for that. And then I want to put some warmth in the skin. It's kind of going to be a cold one, I think. Again, I've got this out, so we might as well use it. Now sometimes it's actually good to catch some overspray. So sometimes I'll leave specific areas uncovered, even if I am using this thing, so that I can catch some overspray so it looks like you've got some light reflecting. So yeah, this bit's the important bit actually, don't I? Cool. Maybe a smidge more. Just there. Cool. All right. So this is going to be very softly. One of the things you learn very early on with an airbrush is it's much better to do 5 quick light passes and build up the colour in successive layers than it is to just go absolutely ham and go too thick in your first pass. So lots of small layers is far superior. Alright, so we're just going to use a tiny little bit of peanut butter. Peanut butter! N-U-T-T-E-L-L-A, peanut butter! Right, I reckon I might just use a very, very tiny amount of Volupus Pink, which is another one of my go-to colours when it comes to skin. And this is just going to be the tiniest of wafer-thin morsels, just so we can go, I think, over the whole area. Let's have a look. Alright, let's hair dry that and have a bow peep, I think, at the whole thing. Yes. Alright, I think we'll call that for airbrushing. I'm going to do one last thing, but this is not really a skill thing. Well, kind of is, but... Just going to use my favourite colour, green. It is very Australian. Oh, you fucked it there, Deno. You've spiderwebbed at the very last step. What an absolute pest you are sometimes. I've literally emptied out my thinner. I need to mix up some more thinner. You timed it well, Deno. I do mix my own homebrew thinner. I actually do some of that now because I need to mix some more. So we might as well do that right now. Alrighty, let's clean that out and we'll do a couple of little things. Yeah, so Airbrush is a powerful tool. I think it'd be a really fascinating side-by-side to take the piece as it looked before I did airbrushing to the piece as it looks now after I've done airbrushing, just to see the difference. Because I think there will be a pretty significant difference. Alexa, airbrush off. Cool, man. Cool. Alright, yeah, I do need to make some thinner, so let's do that. Oh shit, where's my stuff? Here, cool. Tamiya X20A thinner. Because I bought some. And I like to use stuff that I buy. We go about 50%. Have I got enough in there? Tiny bit more. About 50% of that. And then we use some of this stuff, which is called Flow Improver. And we go a squeeze of that. Not a lot of that. And then the rest of it, we use water. And that's it. Why do I use that particular combination? I tried using just thinner. I tried using just water. I tried using just Flow Improver. And I found all of those things had properties that I didn't enjoy. But they all had properties that I did enjoy. So by combining the three, and it's never a precise measurement, it's pretty much worked out. Yeah, to be how I would like it to work. So, okay, let's get some black. No magic hair of the dog. I watched a video a long time ago, a painting video by a dude who was an exceptional airbrusher, and I can't remember his name. It's like it's another Geraldez. Anyway, it'll come to me. It's RC Studio, I think, but I can't remember what his actual name is. Anyway, he mixed airbrush cleaner in with his mix because it was a dilutant apparently, and it worked very well for him. I tried that, didn't work for me. I actually do use it on my palette on occasion too, yeah. It does really well at thinning normal paints. So there's areas like under here, underneath her hair. So if we just left that as is, you can see here, it looks okay. But if we put the shadow underneath, all of a sudden it creates a sharper, more effective separation between those two elements. We do need to give this chick eyebrows, which is a shit show. Yeah, and it's surprising how much this step, what I'm doing right now, actually has a really big impact. Sometimes you're best not to use pure black, you're better off using a brown. Or a dark blue, depending on your situation. And this is the sparkle light, as I like to call it. The last little step that makes everything look finished. I don't want to go too much into this area that I've airbrush blended, because it kind of defeats the purpose of the airbrush blending, but sometimes you just need to add that tiny little pop light. Na, 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 na. And I apologise if I'm being very boring right now, but this is the most fine detail painting I ever do, really. Because most of the other stuff that I do is just smoothed and blended by the airbrush, so I don't really need to be super precise, but this area is all about precision. Yeah, grisaille is a good way of conceptualizing what I do with the airbrush. You're creating sharp, high value transitions, and then you're using dilute layers over the top to smooth things out. So yeah, grisaille is a good way of thinking about how I'm trying to approach this process. All right, let's do this. Yep, alright, we're going to call it there. We're messing around with stuff that's probably not really going to have much of an impact. Yeah, that's a absolutely spot on way of thinking about it. And they do actually kind of do the same things too, the wash and the airbrush. They kind of do the same things. So I would say that probably the airbrush is just a slightly more sophisticated way of doing it. Well, that has been quite a fun little project. I have enjoyed that quite a lot. I reckon we call it a day. So the total time spent on this project, and this is not something I'm saying as a brag, not a whole brag, not wholly bragging, is about 4.5 hours. And that's what you can achieve when you know how to airbrush. Sort of, that's the reason. It's not really the reason, but you can achieve it. If I can see it, then I can do it. If I just believe it, there's nothing to it. Alright, that's it. We're done. We'll spray that, we'll sign that, and we'll add that to the list of models coming to Guilds. Now this one is a very different prospect. I am very unsure how we're going to make this work. Very unsure. Alright. Thank you, Mini Me Dark. I just finished this one, so you missed it by about 5 minutes, but yeah, just finished that trick, so. Now we're going into a new one. This one's been sitting here for a long time. What are you doing, Mossy Moo?
Making a cup of tea, mate.
You're making me some crumpets.
Oh, you want to stream it?
Come have a look at this.
Blue hair.
It's not blue. It's green like you asked for. What do you think?
Very pretty.
Is it?
Put some mascara on.
Oh, I need to do our eyebrows, don't I? Shit! Damn it, it's not finished. Yeah, skulls would be cool with glowy eyes.
Eyebrows, mate.
Eyebrows, yeah. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. G'day, Gary. Welcome, mate. That's the plan, yes. We're going to finish off a lot of projects, hopefully. I might move into this. I think this will help my visualization of this piece is some of these feathers. I can see you. I see you not making me crumpets. Yeah, I wish I was eating crumpets, Frog Jim, but certain people in this household don't treat it with the level of respect that it should be treated with. You know, I'm going to have to finish this stream and make my own crumpets. I think that's a disgrace. Yeah, Mossy just made herself a tea, that's what she was doing. So, it's good to know where her priorities lie. Everything tastes better when someone else makes it, mate. Just ask Mossy. She knows. Because I'm always making the crumpets.
I'm not making you crumpets, mate.
Well, can you at least get the toaster out so I can make my own?
Jeez Louise.
A-grade stitch up. Get a girlfriend, they said. It'll be great, they said.
Do you want me to make you a crumpet?
No, thanks, Emma. I'll make my own crumpets.
I offered.
No, you didn't. This is such a cool model, but this is the example of, a prime example of over detailing. Maybe that's just a me thing, but there is just way too much detail. It's all awesome detail, like it's all fantastic. It's just too much. It is a Chimera piece. Yes, Gary, spot on. One of their range of figures called Jewels, Chimera Jewels. And I bought all 3 of them. G'day, Gone Beyond One. Yeah, got all 3 of them, but this is the only one I've attempted to paint. The Man Cave. I am. If that's what you're referring to. I did do something actually. Let me see if this works. I changed the positioning of my cabinet. Hey Alexa, lights on. Can't see that, but I might switch it around so you may be able to see it. Let's see. There it is, the cabinet with a light. Yeah, so that's got all my Kingdom Death models on display and a couple of other my display pieces. And then over there, you can't really see it because the camera's in the way, but that's where the diorama is at the moment, right there. Before we plan to take it to the Guild Inn. I should do the eyebrows on that cheek before I forget about it. Eyebrows are always really tricky. To do just enough highlighting. Alright, that's done. Alright friends, we're going to call it there for today. Nearly 2 hours, nearly 2 girls. But no, I'm going to do some more on this chick tomorrow night, I think. I'm back tomorrow night painting little toys, so we'll keep pushing away. I've got an exciting project that I want to start in probably a week or two, which is this box of little toys that I've got from my new game Black Rose Wars. And let's have a look at some of them now. This is a witch, it's pretty good. But then they've got some bangers, like this is a griffin. That's great. But how's this? This is freaking Anubis. You can summon Anubis and he can fight for you. Or this guy, which is a gigantic frost giant type guy. What a beast. And then you've got fucking Odin, the Allfather. You can summon Odin. Or you can also summon Hastur from fucking that other thing. Or if you want, you can summon this chick riding an elk. Or if you want, you can summon this dude who's like the harbinger of pestilence. Or if you want, you can summon this cool animated construct, which is called a albedo. Or you can summon the Horseman of War. Or you can summon this sick guy. Look at him. Or this sick guy. So there's a lot of models here. There's probably about 100 models. 50 or 100. 50 to 100. Haven't quite yet figured out what I'm going to do about this situation. Great figure, but do I paint the green stuff or do I leave the green stuff green because it looks cool? The answer is, I don't know. I don't actually know what this is either. Is that a first player marker? Maybe it's a first player marker. There is a metric shit ton of cool models in here. Look at this guy. Oh, Piotr. Anyway, lots of models. And that will be my project to come soon. I've got a few more coming to add to that, to finish off that collection. So I will probably wait till they arrive before I start. So yeah, we're gonna have a look through some of the other things we've got to decide a new project for Guilds in. Alright friends, that's it. I'll catch you all again very soon. Have a great week. Big out.